What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Athletes and Assets podcast with your host, Noah Lack. We just had on Texas star safety Michael Taaffe to chat about the landscape of NIL from his perspective. Michael went from walk-on to All-American at the University of Texas, and so his perspective and takes are really refreshing and interesting. If you can, please like, subscribe, and comment if you're watching on YouTube, because we'll keep bringing the heat and amazing guests. Let's get into it. Well, appreciate you joining us.
Yeah. Appreciate y'all having me. This is so cool.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I was really hoping you'd pull up in the Lammy, but I understand we're in East Austin, right? So we gotta we gotta protect you.
Yeah. No, when you're driving a car that fancy, I always get scared to drive it every now and then. But it was definitely a cool deal. Yeah, my girlfriend benefited the most because she got to ride, princess passenger seat and go to nice dates and valet park and stuff. So she won the deal for sure.
You guys were probably the talk of the town in Austin when you pulled up in that thing.
Yeah, it was. I don't love to be the center of attention all the time, but that it was unavoidable in that car, especially when Mr. Knox, the owner of Lamborghini, would let me drive the blue one, and it was matte black blue, blue interior too, and seats were pretty cool as well. And when you're getting a massage while you're driving, it's not a bad life either. So, yeah, the Urus goes bougie. Yeah, Urus is bougie.
Remind me how old you are?
22.
It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous, but I relate a lot to, your story because, you grew up in Austin Westlake, down the road from UT. I grew up in Houston near Memorial. I didn't go to Memorial, as I mentioned to you. But for our audience who doesn't know, if you've ever watched Friday Night Lights, right, the high school football movie talking about how big it is in Texas, when I think of Westlake, Austin, that's like Friday Night Lights, right?
Yeah. I think you hit it on the nail. Like when you talk about Westlake, you're thinking about from 7 years old. All you're thinking about is playing Friday Night Lights, under the lights at Westlake, varsity team, playing against your rivals like Lake Travis and stuff like that. So when you think about Friday Night Lights, you think about Westlake, and it's a community base. Everybody in the community comes around you, and especially when we were playing, it was COVID. So the only thing that people were looking forward to doing was watching Friday Night Lights.
I'd like to say to people on the coast who don't understand, growing up, if you didn't go to that high school football game on a Friday night, if you weren't playing or cheering, you were like, something's wrong with you.
Yeah, right.
Like, seriously. Was it instilled in your blood early on? Because we chatted about it, Houston, Austin, it's like UT A&M.
Yeah.
It's like one or the other.
Yeah.
We know what side of the fence you were.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, going into my testimony a little bit, you're right. That's all I knew growing up was Friday nights, you go to Westlake games. Saturday mornings or Saturday nights, you're going to the 40 acres, you're going to a Texas game. And so that's all I knew growing up. I was the youngest of four with two older brothers and an older sister. And my older sister was the cheerleader. She was wearing the cheerleader outfit when she was younger, and my two older brothers were wearing the full decked out either Westlake gear or Texas gear. And that was every Halloween. That's what we dressed up as. And so that's what, we truly believed growing up. My parents, I'm a fifth generation Longhorn. So 5 generations of Taaffes were Longhorns before me.
You guys got a stone somewhere on that campus, a brick
we
that says T-A-A-F-E somewhere.
At least. So yeah, that is really cool to know that was the rich history of the Taaffe family, and so kind of getting into what this podcast is all about. Like when I had the opportunity, fast forwarding to being able to either walk on or get a scholarship somewhere, because I was committed to Rice originally.
Right.
When I had the opportunity to walk on at Texas, yes, it was a no-brainer because I grew up, bleeding burnt orange, and everybody would be like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. He loves the University of Texas. But, there was so much that went into it that it was a no-brainer. One being the Texas drought was real. We hadn't been good for 10 years since, being a Texas fan was brutal growing up. And I had an opportunity to go change the narrative of how people viewed the University of Texas football program, no brainer.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Do you remember the Vince Young era, or are you too young for that?
I was too young for that. I was 2 years old when he scored to win the national championship against USC in 2005, but my parents brought me to the game.
Oh, those are okay. So that's awesome. You're at the game, but 2 years old.
2 years old.
That's not your era. You don't remember that.
Yeah,
no.
I don't remember it. Well, I do remember some of Colt McCoy, which,
Yeah.
I was also at the 2009 national championship where we lost to Alabama. Colt got hurt. But, real prime growing up. And one of my best friends is Sam Ellinger. So even more ride or die Texas because, if anybody was bashing Sam, I was on the other end, defending him because I knew what type of guy he was, what he was really doing in the locker room, and how much he really changed the University of Texas. And so, being able to change that narrative of Texas was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And then the other side, and, it's interesting because I was always looking at it as a business side, was like,
Sure.
You go to the University of Texas, you graduate with the University of Texas degree, and you're playing football. A lot of people in this Texas network of corporate America or different sides of business loves Texas football players.
Unbelievable alumni network.
So I was always thinking that in the back of my head too, was I'll have the most fun at Texas. I'll enjoy a college experience at Texas. I'll get to play for my dream school, and I'll have that extra motivation in football. And then, oh, by the way, your 40-year career, not just your 4-year career, your 40-year career is easily the best plan. And that was hard to, go back and forth at Rice because Rice is such a good degree. But
Great
it's
school.
like, man, the University of Texas, this is the pro team in Austin. And everybody wants to be, something like a University of Texas football player.
Yeah. In terms of your athletic ability, which I appreciate you mentioning sort of all the other reasons, right? The alumni, the 40-year plan. Notice, guys, we haven't even chatted about NIL or the possibilities of that. It wasn't even a NIL-heavy decision. How much did you think you would actually play early on?
I think it's a good attribute when you're a defensive back, but I'm way more confident than I should be probably. I'm almost to the point where I'm delusional that I always think I'm the best player. So coming out of high school, I was defensive MVP, back-to-back state championship games, and didn't really get any Power 5 scholarships. The scrawny white guy in the back end doesn't usually always get the scholarships, but
Yeah.
I was like, dude, my numbers compared to everybody else, like I'm just as good as everybody else. And so walking on, like nobody, even my mom and dad, really believed that I was going to play as early as I did. But I truly believed it. I was a little upset that I didn't play freshman year. And looking back, it's like, all right, dude, wait your turn a little bit. You weren't all that.
Yeah.
But that was just that confidence that I had. And so, to be honest, like most people would have thought, he was, on cloud 9 just being there. But right when I stepped on campus, I was like, all right, I'm going to play for the University of Texas. I'm not just going to suit up. I'm going to actually play.
100%. Can we detour for a sec? Because when you mentioned being a white safety, the first thing I think of is the Devontae Adams milk check. Devontae Adams for the LA Rams mentioned that when he's lined up against a white cornerback or sees some white safeties, milk check.
Okay.
How you feel about the milk check?
Man, I get it probably too often, so I understand where they're coming from. We had a recruit come in, and that's funny that Devontae Adams said that because it aligns very similar. But I started my career as number 36, and I'm now 16, but I started as 36, and he said, a recruit came up, and he played wide receiver and DB, and he was like, yeah, if we ever see a white guy with a 30 number and white legs, we're going after him every single time. So I guess you got to have that confidence coming in,
I feel like you welcome that smoke. All right,
yeah,
come here.
I love it.
Come and get those ones.
More opportunity,
Yeah.
More opportunity.
I love that, man. So I think it's important for folks to know, like, you came into UT, unlike most players in this era, thinking about the bag and, like, deals and all that. You came in like, hey, man, get me on the field. Your freshman year, 2021 or?
2021.
2021. NIL just opened up, right? Mm-hmm. So you are paying to go to school, and guys are getting paid to play there. Talk about that dynamic. Was that crazy for you, just you thinking about that?
Yeah, I think, well, to start, like, when I got onto campus, NIL was not a thing. It was a thing that next month that I got on campus. So I'd been on campus working out for a whole month, and NIL was still not a thing. And we didn't even really think NIL was going to be a part. And then it all of a sudden gets, brought up. It gets, introduced, and slowly but surely turns into the Wild Wild West. And as I'm sure you know. But so in my decision, NIL was not a part at all. And I was just happy to be there. But yes, it was when I saw it get put into place, and now the collectives came apart and they're paying, directly they're paying players, which is, still such a blessing now. But I played my sophomore year and I was still a walk-on. And I played more snaps than some guys played, and they were getting paid, a really good amount of money, and I was still paying to play, right? Like they're getting paid.
I'm dynamic,
paid.
Man.
Yeah, I had more production than a lot of people that were getting paid, that got recruited there, got transfer portal or something like that, and I was still a walk-on until that end of the year. And so I definitely said some things that I probably regret nowadays. I remember vividly, and I can say it now because he's one of my best friends. But we're running with the DBs, and I win one of the reps, and it's just straight conditioning in the summer, and it's all about mental toughness. And I win one of the reps, and I'm like, dude, I'm paying to be here, and y'all are paying to be here, and like, what's the difference here? How am I outworking y'all? I'm not faster than you, so why am I outworking you? And we got into a huge scuffle. And
wait, what'd you say? Say it again.
I told him, I was like, I'm paying to be here, and you're getting paid to be here, and I'm beating you in this rep. That's not how it should be. Yeah. And I was like, that was a little bit, that was cocky. That was, yeah.
I love that, Taaffe.
Yeah, it was.
Talk to me, Taaffe. Milk check.
Yeah, the milk check. My competitive spirit came out a little bit. But I was like, yeah. I went up after. I was like, I'm sorry, dude. That was, you win most of the reps anyway. So I got one rep on you. I felt good. I was on cloud 9, but that's kind of how it was. That was.
See, I'm petty. I don't know if I would apologize.
Yeah, right. Got to get what's yours.
Yeah.
No, but that's what it was. Like, I think that was that little bit, saltiness coming out where it's like, you're paying to be there, and other people are getting paid to be there. It's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
But like, in nowadays era, it's even more complex where people are getting paid even more, and the walk-ons are still paying to play. And our culture at the University of Texas is like, we're so just in love with playing football that, we're so naive to all the finances and all that stuff, because yes, Texas does a good job of, donating money to the facility and to the university, but also like, we just love playing football, and we're so in love with being a part of a national championship run because, like I said, I didn't come to play for NIL. I came to play for the University of Texas, and this is an experience that you'll never get for the rest of your life. And
100%,
it's so cool.
100%, man. For those who don't know, then chat about the evolution of your standing on the team, right? So sophomore year, still walk on. When did the scholarship come?
Yeah. So I think the coolest part about my journey that I love getting to tell people, because it's a testament to what my teammates think of me. But after my freshman year, I didn't play one snap my freshman year. Didn't step on the field one time. But I got put on the leadership committee after my freshman year. And that was the coolest thing for me, was my teammates truly believed in me. Coach Sark believed in me as one of the leaders. And so, just evolved as a leader, evolved as a playmaker more and more. Started, I think, 2 games, maybe 1 or 2, I can't remember, my sophomore year, but was still walk on that whole season.
Yeah.
We played Washington in the Alamo Bowl. I got put on scholarship before that game. That was a super cool moment, super surreal with my teammates. That was awesome. And then junior year, I started, I think, 7 or 8 games. And then my senior year, I started every game and was second-team All-American AP. So that was super cool, a big, turning point in my life to just know that I belong and I made it. And, I've done a couple things in the Burnt Orange, which was always my dream.
100%, from walk-on to All-American, man. That is incredibly impressive. And so this perspective that you have is super important for us to chat about, man, because, like, I think you're right. I think, like, it's probably better for you to be a little naive in the current era we're in. Because once you start, like, paper comparisons and, comparing bags, I just feel like a lot of things can go wrong. And so, like, that culture is pretty awesome, man. I wanted to get your thoughts, Michael, on knowing that some guys make millions and some guys, I feel like there's less and less walk-ons nowadays in general because of NIL. But knowing some guys make millions and knowing some guys do not touch even close to that amount, how does that affect the locker room dynamic? And you can speak to UT, but maybe you've heard stories in other locker rooms that maybe aren't as stable. Like, how does that affect the relationships right now in college?
Yeah, well, before I even get into that, like, what's the difference? Because nowadays, college is trying to model the NFL, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to model that pro model that they have in there. And with the revenue sharing and everything and contracts and all that stuff. The only difference is I get to see what Brock Purdy made, what he signed for his contract. I get to see what my buddy Jahdae Barron just signed for in his rookie deal. Well, nobody gets to see my college contract. Nobody gets to see Anthony Hill or Arch Manning's contract. And so what is that? That only benefits, the college coaches and the collectives. That doesn't benefit us at all because now we have no leverage. Okay, so how do you know?
You're in the dark.
Right. You don't know who's making what, and okay, if you're a top 5 safety, you deserve to be getting paid, what a top 5 safety should be getting paid. But if you don't know what that market is, then how do you know what to base it off of?
Yeah.
And so that I think is the most skewed for college NIL is like these coaches love that you don't get to know numbers because maybe they get a hometown discount on somebody. Maybe they get to tell somebody that, make them believe that this money is really good. And also on the flip side, maybe some college people just get to hold out more and more and more because they truly believe that they deserve more money. And so it's a total, weird deal because nobody knows the market. You don't really, really know until you see it on a contract. Like people can say, you make this, you make that, but nobody really knows. Like,
yeah.
Nobody knows what I'm making because I don't tell anybody.
Right.
And so that's the biggest skew. And then the other thing is a college player is a free agent every single year. Every single year.
Yeah.
NFL, you sign 2, 3, 4-year deals. So it's like for a GM, okay, I'm off the hook with Michael Taaffe. I paid him a 4-year deal. Well, now GMs for the University of Texas, LSU, Alabama, they're like, all right, I just paid this guy. He had an All-American season. I just paid him. Okay, when he comes back next year, I got to pay him all over again. I got to
probably more
restart. Yeah, and it's probably more if he had a really good season. So the negotiation process for GMs in college, I bet they're losing some years because that's probably pretty stressful.
Now, as shady as that sounds in terms of in the dark contracts, do you think that actually preserves locker room relationships? Because, like, what if a QB and a receiver have a great relationship and then the receiver finds out the QB's making 10x he's making, but the receiver has scored? Obviously, you need someone to throw the ball to. It's a bad example, but like
right.
O-lineman, right, protecting the quarterback's blind side, and he's making 1/10. Do you think like being in the dark is like preserving college locker rooms, or what's your take on that?
Yeah. So to answer that question full circle, like you said, that's a great point. Is I do think it helps college locker rooms because, like, we always talked about like, no, you're never going to sign an NDA. Or at least I never had to sign an NDA, right? But real men in the real world, my dad has never told me how much money he makes. Mentors in my life have never told me. They don't ever talk. They don't go to the country club bar and sit there and talk about their contracts or how much money they make. That's just not what professional businessmen do. NFL, maybe they do because it's public knowledge. But
right.
People that, have private contracts, they don't talk about their money. And so that's the model that we always try to, talk about in the locker room is like, all right, our contracts aren't public. So until they're public, money should not, if you're a grown man, like we all say we're grown men, we shouldn't talk about finances because that's so, irrelevant to what we're trying to do. We're trying to go win a national championship.
Right.
That national championship brings you to the real money, the NFL money, the second contract money. But this money, like, yes, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 is a lot of money. But in the grand scheme of things, compared to Brock Purdy just signed for $250 million, like that that compared to that is a whole lot different. So if you want to get to that real money, that, retirement type of money, then you got to win the national championship.
Yeah, 100%. Do you guys ever pay attention to that on three and like the NIL valuations of guys? Shout out on three, by the way. But do you ever look at that stuff?
And I hate if on three's your buddies, but we kind of laugh at that stuff because
No, they're not. I mean, I don't know. But
when I was a walk-on, I was making $33K on three's evaluation. I guess maybe just because I'm a hometown guy and people know me, and
they thought they slid you a little 33 piece.
Yeah, 33K. So one of my best friends is Charles Wright. He was a scholarship quarterback at the University of Texas. Same class as me. And he's a hometown guy. He went to Austin High, so just right down the road. And he was making, I think, $65K, and I was making $33K. And this is when NIL just started, and collectives weren't even a thing. So
yeah, this is when you were still going to Algebra 2, like, you know what I mean? Like, trying to, like, pay your way, make sure you get in the class.
Yeah, just learn.
Yeah.
That was on three. Long story short, we don't always pay attention to that.
What is your thoughts on the state of NIL right now, as on a macro level, right? What's your take?
Yeah. Short but long answer. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's get it.
So NIL, name, image, likeness, right? It got presented because the Johnny Manziels, they're making a lot of money, the college is making a lot of money off your jersey sales. So why shouldn't I benefit when they're wearing my own jersey? Okay, so what happens there? Okay, so marketing deals are now allowed. Name, image, likeness, marketing deals. So if you sell a jersey, you should get a portion of that. If, Lamborghini Austin wants to do a deal with me, they can do a deal with me. If Raising Cane's wants to do a deal with Cade Klubnik, they can do a deal, and so on and so forth. It was just originally for marketing. Well, now all the donors get together and they figure out what a collective is. Well, now we can pay these student athletes through a collective. Ours is called Texas One Fund, and we can pay them a certain amount of money to do a certain amount of events. That's not marketing. That is pretty much a contract. That's pretty much NFL. That's just the collectives are now the general managers of the college. So I think like collectives where you're getting paid to sign a contract by the collective or the school, and marketing NIL are in two different categories. Like when I do a deal with Corman Jewelry and they, I get a watch in return for a social media post. That is what NIL's for. That's super cool. Like Colt McCoy always talks about, they couldn't get anybody to pay for their dinners. Like if a super fan saw them at Maudie's, a Tex-Mex spot just down the road, they couldn't pay for their dinner because that was illegal in that time of college football.
Yeah.
So what a lot of people would do is they would slide him a $10 bill, and Colt McCoy would always have to take a picture of the receipt, right?
Yeah.
And be like, no, look, compliance, I paid for it.
Yeah.
And take the cash in exchange or whatever. And so that was NIL. Long story short, NIL started in a good direction.
Okay.
It had a good idea. College football players should benefit off marketing, should benefit off their name, image, likeness. Now, should a college football player that is just out of high school, just because he's a 5-star by some random ranking, get paid $1 million plus? I don't know. I'm happy for people that are getting benefits off of this, but I don't know. I don't know if that's the most important thing. I think a college degree and a scholarship check and learning how to build your brand through marketing is more important than just getting straight cash for just being good at football.
So what I'm hearing is basically your take is like guys should come in without just a Brinks truck handed to them, earn their credibility, earn their name, and then like if they're selling a bunch of jerseys and get a bunch of brand deals off of their play, all for it, but not just because you're trying to recruit him from going to this other school that's offering $2 million, and that it's a monetary reason, not like coach, fit, school, all the other things we used to associate with the reason why a kid chose to go to school.
Right. Like why, in terms of finance, not in terms of credibility or football talk, just in terms of finance, why is the guy that's unloyal to his team and maybe hasn't proven himself in the college football era, why does he get paid more in the transfer portal than the guy that is loyal to his team, stayed there for 4 or 5 years, and now is a leader on the team and just truly cares about the university and the program? why does the unloyal guy get paid more than the loyal guy? That seems so backwards to me.
Well, my counter to that is like, that's the real world.
Right.
People leave jobs to like try to,
Right.
the next one and elevate
Right.
it. How do you think about that?
Yeah, I just think sport is so cool because sports teach you what the real world is. Sports teach you, how to be a man, how to open the door for a young lady, how to pick up after yourself in the locker room, how to touch the line just because the little things matter in life. That's what sports does, right? It teaches you competitive nature. It teaches you how to become a team and how to work with everybody. And so when you're entering the transfer portal 4 or 5 times, are you really learning all those little things that you need in football? Because this is a great example. Barron Sorrell was one of our team captains this year. I would venture to say that he's going to be way more successful in life than a guy that transferred 3 or 4 times and never really joined the culture, never really joined the team, never really understood what a team camaraderie really means.
This is possible, so I want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
How would you feel if your fellow corner or DB or safety transferred from UT, went to like another school for a year, and then transferred back?
Yeah, I mean, I'll ask for your take after I answer, but okay, what was the situation? Was your coach just truly horrible to you, and did your coach tell you you're never going to make it? Like, okay, maybe you should probably go somewhere else if your coach told you you're never going to make it. But if you played really, really well in practice and you were on the scout team just because your room was stacked, like, no, you shouldn't leave. And so if you left for those reasons, just because somebody's asking you to get more money at a different SEC school, and then you come back, like, dude, you just left our team. Like, we care about culture. We care about a team. We care about, summer workouts are really, really hard for us. So, like, you didn't experience those, and you still get to wear a diamond ring by the end of this once we win a national championship. Like, come on, man. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's a possibility, though.
Right. It is.
It's happening other places.
Yeah. No, Sark always says, and maybe he just says this to keep the line even, if Arch Manning left and entered the transfer portal for some reason, he would never do that, for some reason, and was like, hold on, yeah, that was a weird deal. Next day wants to come back. I bet Sark would probably let him back, but Sark always tells us when the transfer portal opens, just so y'all know how we're wired at the University of Texas, second you enter your name in the transfer portal, you're not welcome back. So if you want to do it, that's great. You probably have some benefits to transferring, but if you do that, you don't have a spot here at the University of Texas, and that's just how he rolls.
So my take?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you leave, stay on that side.
Yeah.
These players leaving and then coming back, the coaching staff, like, that is absurd.
Yeah.
Like, how are you letting that happen?
Yeah,
like, that is insane to me. Why would you ever let that happen? So that's how I feel. It's happened in our basketball program. I'm not afraid to call it out as absolute, like, BS for a kid leaving somewhere for a bigger bag and then not playing and then wanting to come back.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. If you're leaving strictly for money, I love you, man, but you're not my teammate anymore. You can be my friend, but you're not my teammate. There's two differences. You know what I'm saying?
100%. What's your take on players leaving for bigger bags, leaving good situations for bigger bags? We've seen a couple things happen recently. Most notably, the Nico Amavea at Tennessee going to UCLA. But that situation, some people said that was a poor decision. What's your take on that?
Can we just shed light on Quin Ewers real quick before we answer that question?
Please.
Everybody is bashing him for not transferring. Dude just left a legacy. Dude just took us to 2 back-to-back semifinal games and left a legacy at the University of Texas at the 40 acres, which is the biggest market, I'll argue, is the biggest market in college. It's the biggest market, University of Texas. You go to London, you go to Japan, you go anywhere across the world, you throw up this, everybody knows what this is right here. Everybody knows that's the Longhorns. And so we want to bash him because he wants to leave a legacy and go to the NFL and go chase his dreams and be a Longhorn legend for the rest of his life. And he's also in the history books in our school and our facility. And just because he gets paid a couple million to go to another school, like, come on, guys. We just like, now we want to bash the guys that don't leave, but we were just bashing the guys that are leaving for money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to shed light on that in a public setting. Like, Quin Ewers should be getting now that it got reported that he was getting offered $8 million to enter the transfer portal. He should be getting praised more that he set the new standard of college football. He went against the grain of all right, the era of college football is you leave to get more money. He went against all that and went to the NFL, and he did it the standard way. What do you agree with me there? 100%.
Yeah. No, I think they should definitely. He needs his flowers for sure. And I was actually more impressed that you go from picking him off a couple times in high school to actually going to bat for him on this podcast. So I think right. We should give that flowers too. I got you, bro. Don't even worry about it. We do our homework over here.
Yeah, right. We talked a lot of trash in that state championship game, and then we became best friends. We became teammates, and we ended up being leaders of a team to go chase a national championship. We fell short, but we got dang close. But yeah, to answer your question, if you're in a good situation, I'll speak for it. Jelani McDonald, he's going to be a starter for us at safety, the other side. I don't know how we're going to work all the DBs, but he's definitely going to play a lot. He's going to start, I'd venture to say. And he is uber talented, has some crazy athletic ability that I dream for in my sleep. It's unreal. This guy can move like no other. And he's also 6'3" and moving like this. And he could have gone anywhere he wanted after this freshman year when all he played on was a little bit of special teams here and there. But he stuck it out, and he's going to be a junior, and he's going to start, and he's one of the leaders on the team, and he's getting paid in NIL through Texas. And if he has a really good year, he has a chance to leave school early and go to the NFL and be a first-round draft pick. So do you like that answer, or do you like leaving and get paid right now, temporary money, and then maybe not playing, maybe not having the best shot, maybe not being on a winning team, maybe not learning the playbook, and now your NFL chances have just plummeted versus staying in a good situation? I like option A, but what's your take?
It's crazy, man. Look, I get it if you come from an economic situation where college is changing your financial future. It also tells me a lot when players transfer a lot. It's they don't believe that they actually could make it to the next level. So if you don't believe you're going to have a lengthy NFL career and you think you're going to make more money in college, it's hard for me to get mad at a kid who's doing that. At the same time, bro, we grew up in the same mentality. I'm your school is giving you a scholarship, a free education, and a bag.
Yep.
Maybe it's there's another bag that's 1.5x more. Man, stick it out the place that's shown you love and recruited you first. And to me, that's better use of a college experience than transferring 4 or 5 times. If you transfer 4 or 5 times, you need to make a LinkedIn.
Get to the real world.
Come on, man. 4 or 5 times, Indeed. Do you know Indeed?
Yeah. No.
The job site?
Yeah, the Indeed job site.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty stern on that, huh?
100%.
Yeah.
Come on, man. 4 or 5 times, bro.
Yeah.
And what makes me really mad is the commitment graphics.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're committing
Please.
8 times.
It's great to celebrate the high school to college commitment. Nothing like it, man.
Yeah.
What a beautiful opportunity.
Right.
If you want to throw up an NFL draft graphic with a bunch of cursive and writing a paragraph I'm not going to read, but I know that's your signature.
Yeah.
That tells me you're going to the draft. Okay, cool. Cool with that.
Yeah.
Bro, when you transfer from Nantucket State to Long Beach State and you got to give me a graphic every time, bro, I'm swiping up. I don't care. I don't care. Unfollow. I might even accept your LinkedIn request.
Okay.
But back to you. I actually want to cover some of the NIL deals you've done. We've talked about everybody else, but yourself. This is you don't have your normal NIL toothpaste deal. This is 2 deals you've done which have some deeper meaning with you. One was with the Texas Department of Education and the Houston Crime Stoppers. Why? Talk about both and why do these deals matter for you?
Yeah. So bringing Sam back up, he was the biggest mentor in my life, and he taught me when I started getting a scholarship and I started getting a little bit recognition around the University of Texas. He called me. He was like, "Look, $5,000 to the average Joe sandwich shop is great. $20,000 to a random clothing apparel is great, but all that money, you won't even remember that money when you're 60 years old. What you'll remember is making an impact at the University of Texas. So you have such a big platform to change people's lives. And do you want to use NIL, which I couldn't use? Do you want to use NIL to change people's lives? Or do you want to use NIL to get a couple extra change in your pocket to go run to the bank, which only you can see?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's awesome. I'm gonna change people's lives. And so the first, and with doing that, now these bigger brands like Lamborghini, they see, okay, he doesn't have his whole Instagram page filled with NIL deals. It's about what he believes. And I try to aim my NIL deals with what I believe. I believe in family, I believe in faith, and I believe in my sports and friends and what I like to do. And so all of that being said, Sam's little brother passed away to a poison fentanyl drug. He took a pill to go to sleep, to help him sleep, and it was laced with fentanyl. And he got poisoned, and it was because of fentanyl that he passed away. And so my first, I got a lot of attention after having a successful year this year. My first NIL deal on social media after this season was fentanyl awareness with Crime Stoppers of Houston.
Wow, man.
And so, maybe it's not the biggest deal ever. Maybe it's not a Nike deal or something like that, but it's a deal that truly I think can impact people's lives and change people's lives. And the one that I recently just did was drinking and driving, and the impact that has on the community. And if we eliminate drinking and driving, then our community will be a lot safer.
100%, man. And kudos to you for taking those deals on.
Yeah.
A guy like me would have tried to go for Chick-fil-A immediately, man, and all the good stuff.
It's tempting.
It's tempting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's tempting. I tell you what, though. You do a drinking and driving commercial in that Urus. That'll catch my attention.
Right.
If that's what it takes to get that little Lambo, I'm throwing away the booze for sure.
Right, 100%.
For sure. So you do a good job mixing a little of both in.
Yeah, and I think it's a little, like you said, mixing a little both. I think it's fun. Like, shout out Laffy Taffy. I'm hoping to do a deal with Laffy Taffy soon. Like, why not? Michael Taaffe and Laffy Taffy.
Absolutely.
That's got to be something.
Come
right?
on.
So it's already
Vayner,
there.
Ring it up. Vayner, cut the check.
Come on, hurry it up.
Shout out to Vayner, by the way. Vayner Sports.
Great marketing agency. But yeah, I want to have fun with it too, because like I said, NIL is meant to learn so much in the marketing aspect, and I really think that significance is more important than success. And if you can be significant, then that goes a long way, because you die and you don't bring money with you. Whichever afterlife you believe in, you don't bring money with you. But, you do, your name will be remembered. And what do you want your name to be remembered for? I choose to be significant.
100%, man. That's powerful.
Yes, sir.
A little goosebumps right there for me.
Yeah.
Do you think Vayner has taught you a lot about business through the sports marketing deals? Talk about that relationship.
Yeah. So I signed my NIL with Vayner Sports Marketing. I also signed my agency with Vayner Sports, and they have a crazy good platform.
Yes.
Inspired by AJ and Gary Vaynerchuk, which are very successful people in this world. Obviously, you know them. And
not yet, but I know they're their team. Shout out my boy Garrett.
Yeah.
G Money.
all their stuff.
Yeah.
And I told them the same thing that I told you, what I believe in. I don't believe in chasing the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 things just for a quick, story and off you go. I want to build a relationship with somebody and maybe learn something.
Yeah.
Maybe do a deal with a commercial real estate firm and learn everything about what preferred equity is, how do you raise capital, and what target audience do you go after to raise your capital for a certain development. And so with that, they were like, that's perfect. I love that. Let's get the ball running on just that. And then they brought me fentanyl awareness, Crime Stoppers of Houston. They brought me Texas Department of Transportation, drinking and driving. And so that was really cool. And then they brought me a bunch of equity deals, which they were like, all right, let me lay out.
Did someone say equity? Oh, now I'm listening. This is what we do.
Yeah, equity.
Let's talk a little equity.
So they brought me some equity deals, and they were like, all right, this is how I try to lay out equity for somebody that really doesn't know what's going on. Equity is based on time, your time, right? Because until you get the return, if that company for some reason busts, you see nothing out of it. So you did all this work, and you see nothing in return, right? Besides a learning experience. I value learning a lot. And so he was like, I'm always, very conservative when it comes to equity because I don't want to put my athlete into a company where it's like, all right, equity, 3% equity, that's really amazing once this company sells for $100 million. That's a really good return. But what if this company busts and goes out of business? Then you did 10 hours of work for nothing in return. And so I'm finalizing a deal with this hydration packet company called Lixer. It's not on the market yet, so keep your ears peeled for that. Lixer, some Westlake buddies of mine, Austin, they graduated University of Texas, and they want to target the Texas market that we talked about. And so they came to me with an equity deal, and I was like, dude, I'm sold. It also tastes really good. I got to get you a packet. Send you one.
Man.
I'll send you one down in San Francisco.
Yeah.
But those are the deals where it's like, okay, I can expand these relationships with these people, really good guys. I can learn a lot about the marketing aspect, the equity side of it, how to be an entrepreneur, how to start up a business, how to start up a company. And I can learn all that. And, oh, by the way, it's a really good product, in my opinion. So, like, yes, I'm learning a bunch, and then also I think the return will pay off.
Yeah, I'm curious to get your thoughts on that, man. Like, I'm a big advocate of equity over upfront cash brand deals. Now, there's some cash you can't turn down,
right,
and there's some people who need the cash. But in your situation, are you looking now more at equity deals and starting to get more into like the early stage companies because of the nature of the long-term upside potential?
100%. Like you said, and you could probably teach me more because I love learning, but like all the startups, usually they don't have a lot of capital, raised. So they're like, dude, I really want you to help me out. Like, I want you to be the star athlete, but we just don't have a lot of capital that we raise to give you to sign, you to a Instagram deal or an appearance or whatever it is. So what can we do for you? And I hate saying no to people that I truly care about. So it's like the thing that I look at is what can we do an equity deal? What can we do there? Because then it's like some startups don't always last, but when a startup that brings, gets my attention right off the hook, then it's like, all right, if I have equity in this deal and all of a sudden it shoots up, now we're talking way more experience and way more cash flow than something that you just got paid up in front.
I say, Michael, like the future of sports and athlete representation and athletes and branding is to think about stuff more in a venture capital mindset. So even if you are not going to make investments yourself in early stage companies in your career long after you're done in the NFL and football, to have that venture capital mindset as early as possible. And what that means to me is having this mindset of like, if I see a company I think could be really big in the future, even if they don't have the cash to pay me for a deal, think about how I could earn sweat equity. Because I believe in you. I believe in that company. I believe in Lixer. I think Lixer's going to blow, and it sounds like you've already kind of dabbled in that, which is really cool. I think we're in a instant gratification society, and the athletes that are smart enough to set a piece of their portfolio of this venture mindset and take that equity may be better off in the future than everyone who took that upfront cash deal.
Right. Because where are you putting that cash? Where's that fitting in the portfolio?
Yeah,
I truly agree. You hit me with all the smart words.
I know. So I use a lot of like fancy jargon and language. Yeah. Basically,
I'm trying my best.
What?
I'm trying my best.
Yeah.
But I truly agree with you. And
yeah.
I learned a lot from that.
Basically, if I were to simplify it tremendously, which I should, it's instead of give me a bunch of cash for 1 to 2 Instagram posts, give me equity so I can
let me invest.
Yeah, an ambassador for you longer term.
Yeah.
You're going to be more motivated to go ham for Lixer than if they gave you $2K, $3K for an Instagram. Like it feels like you're now on the journey with the company.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that is an amazing point because that's exactly what kind of sold me to want to finalize this deal was like, we don't want you to think that you're doing a favor for us and we're giving you money in return.
Yeah.
We want you to be a part of the team.
Yeah.
That makes me so much more wanting to go to bat for them or for us once I sign my deal, I'm really hoping that Vayner, lets me do it because we're getting through some things. But it's like, dude, if it's your brand, it either busts and you make nothing, or it excels and you make a whole lot, then you're going to go do a sports camp in the Westlake community, and you're going to bring Elixir, and you're going to talk about Elixir for 10 minutes. Yeah, you're probably talking to the little kids, but you're more so talking to the parents that sign the checks.
Yeah.
So that is a great point.
100%. Before we get out of here, Michael, we have this and I'm not afraid to say it, it's not a secret anymore. We have this secret group chat of some of our most loyal fans. People give us feedback.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you 2 rapid fire audience questions before we get out of here.
Yeah.
The first one, which was asked, but I'll just you can keep this simple, but
okay.
How are you saving your money?
Yeah, so my financial advisor, his name is Sean Abood. He works at Morgan Stanley Wealth Management, and I actually interned for them last summer. So I learned a lot about how different assets classes work, and it's a sports book also. So it's all NFL players and stuff like that. Mostly sports book.
Right. So
I get to learn where these different NFL guys, put their different cash and different, accounts, and is it a stock market account? Is it municipal bond account and stuff like that? And so I put all of my NIL money through Morgan Stanley. I take all my scholarship checks. I live on the scholarship checks, so I try to live cheap. So
that's sick.
I try to go to the grocery store and make food, but I send all of my NIL to them. We have a tax escrow account that just get it out of the way. Don't let me see that tax escrow account. I don't want to know what Uncle Sam's taking from me.
That's where it's okay to be naive, maybe.
And then I'm also super interested in real estate, and so we did a deal where Morgan Stanley has an in with this firm that's a real estate firm, and I'm on all the email chains, so I get to see where they're putting my money and what warehouse they're trying to go after and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. And so that makes me learn about real estate a little bit more, but it's all pretty safe. And then also retirement accounts and retirement funds and stuff like that. So the portfolio is pretty diverse.
Sweet.
So it's cool. And then all the money that I made in high school doing 7-on-7 coaching, working for different people, I have that, and it's a fun little portfolio that I have on my own phone. I manage that. So that's super cool. So I get to fail a lot. I get to put a little bit into crypto and stuff like that.
So this fun, it's like you mess around, maybe buy stocks or something?
Yeah,
I don't know. What do you?
I'm a conservative guy. I get scared, so I keep throwing more into the S&P. I'm like, shoot, that will never fail me. But it's fun, like little, small stocks that, small caps that I'm like, all right, I've read into or somebody tells me about, and I'm like, all right, let's have some fun with it.
Yeah.
So I never touch the NIL money that I signed a contract with. It's all the money that I made in high school and so forth and so on.
Right on. Last question. What happens for you after the NFL, after your NFL career?
Yeah, $1 million question. $1 million question. I love football. I think I have a knack for coaching. Every time I see one of my teammates do something wrong that I know they can get, I'm always trying to coach them up, like do this step, do that step, take your eyes here, take your hips here. So I love coaching.
Okay.
A lot of people think I should be a coach. I think I would do well coaching. But I'm a huge family guy, and coaching requires a lot of time and not a lot of time with your family. So, and then I also love real estate, like I said. I love real estate. So I love looking at different homes. I love looking at commercial real estate and seeing the ins and outs, and going to play golf with somebody and trying to get them to, raise some capital for us and stuff like that. So right now, who knows in a couple of years, but right now, either real estate or coaching.
Super cool, man. Well, hey, you heard it from the man himself. This has been another great episode of the Athletes and Assets podcast with your host, Noah Lack, with the man, Michael Taaffe himself. Laffy Taffy, if you could give us a call, please. That'd be great.
Laffy Taffy, let's do it.
Listen, I'll help you get it. All of it goes to Vayner. I don't need any cut, man. We just want to get it to you, bro. I'm good, guys. Don't worry.
He's a good guy.
I'm a good guy. Appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir. Thank you.